I swam from Catalina to San Pedro, broke the record. It was really exciting. While I was there, when I climbed out of the water, I stepped on a sea urchin. And I was in hypothermia at that point, and I couldn't feel my feet. I got to the hospital, immediately went to the emergency room. They were like, "You have MRSA. We might have to take your foot." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like a week ago, I was swimming 21 miles in the dark and breaking a world record. And now you're talking to me about I've got like, what?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Mind Your Game podcast. I'm your co-host, Dustin Donner, with our other co-host, Dr. Matt, who joined me, and a special guest today for you all, Grace Vanderbilt. Welcome, Grace.
Hey, thank you.
How's your day going so far?
It's good. It's bright and early here, but it's good. I'm excited to meet you guys and just to chat.
Yeah.
Grace, where are you at? Where are you located?
I'm in San Diego, California.
San Diego. It makes sense with the whole thing that you do. So I'm looking to dive in.
Yeah, it's actually, there's a few, what they say is like hot spots for what I do. And San Diego is listed as one of the top ones. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to live in a place that just affords me endless possibilities for my sport.
What is that like being in one of those hot spots, like having that community around you within your sport?
It's humbling. It's humbling because every day that you go down there, you never know who you're going to be with. You're going to be with somebody who may be 70 years old, but has swum all over the world and done things that you couldn't even dream of. And then you've got the young kids that are getting ready for Olympics. And it's just a wealth of knowledge that goes down there and experience every single time. And I don't take it for granted. It's every time just taking a second, getting to connect with somebody that's down there, your world just opens up immensely. So it's great.
What is that like for your mindset? Like going into swims, going into the things that you do, I'm sure having that support system around you, but also people that are training for the Olympics and all of these things, having that kind of external pressure. How do you keep in baseline and stay grounded?
I don't think it's pressure at all. I just think it adds to it, right? It keeps you motivated to know that everybody around you is training for something. Maybe not necessarily the same thing, but you're all sort of in it. And that's tremendously supportive. Everybody there is rooting for that guy. And even if you're not together on a long swim, you're still in the water together. And there's that energy and that sort of synergy you feel with other people out there doing their part, just like you're doing your part.
Yeah. And it sounds like, go ahead, Dr. Matt.
Go ahead. Okay, so I was very curious about this. We were having a conversation earlier about you listening to some of our episodes on the Mind Your Game podcast. And it sounded like you played golf here and there, but you didn't really consider yourself a golfer. But everything that we were talking about in terms of the mental game, mental performance, the inner game, related to you. So I was wondering, could you share a little bit about what you do and how the mental piece plays in a factor in your performance field?
I loved listening to the other podcasts because that's what I was telling you guys earlier. I walked away from that going, wow, golf, swimming, Scott, it doesn't matter what you do, football, soccer, for you to step up and it's your moment. It's the same moment. We're all using the same tools in that exact moment. So I'm a long distance swimmer, open water swimmer. I've swum from Catalina to Long Beach. I've swum 120 miles down the Hudson. I've done relays that were over 300 and 400 miles. Most of my swim, I swam in the dark. A lot of what I do is just being willing to show up and jump in the water and not know what's out in front of me and just go. Yeah, I think there were a few key things that I felt like was really the big connector is that to be good at what I do, you have to be present. You have to be in that moment. You can't be worried about what's in front of you. You can't be worried about what's behind you. You can only react to the situation at hand, not setting yourself up, not thinking about that finish line wherever it is. You have to be 100% present. And I think about that in terms of golf. When they're teeing off, They can't be thinking about the next 2 holes. They need to be present for that hole, for that drive, for that putt, and to be your best in that hole. And for a football player being, I need to be best on this line and for this catch and for this run. It's when athletes start projecting expectations way ahead of what's actually happened, or getting stuck on stuff that happened in the past or happened 10 minutes ago, and how that affects your next stroke or your next thing. That's what I grabbed is the same.
Yeah. So what you were mentioning, being present, easy to say, really hard to do, especially when you're thrown in the open water at night in the dark. And I'm just curious, when you said that, I had a visceral reaction. And the first reaction I had was fear. And I'm curious, what's your relationship to fear?
It's funny, somebody else asked me this recently, and I think I commented that I'm not afraid, but that's not true. I do get afraid. It's natural to jump in there and be afraid, but I don't let fear take over. Jump in and it's dark and I'm the only one in there, and I know that there's big stuff all around me, and I'm dealing with exposure and chop and all of these things and not being able to see very well and all of these things. And so I just let it soak over me like a blanket, like I'm covering myself with all of these things that I'm dealing with. And then I realize I have a choice in how I'm going to react to it. I'm going to let all of these things drown me under this blanket of things that I can't control, or I'm going to control the one thing that I can control, and that's my reaction to it. I still am aware that these fears are there, but these fears are not part of my present. My present is that I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to take a stroke and another stroke and another stroke and another stroke. And this is what I can control. And over time, and it happens for me pretty quickly because I get to practice being in that headspace all the time. I get to practice putting myself through a high level of adrenaline and all of these things, and just going, okay, I feel it. It's there, but I've got to take a stroke and I'm going to take another stroke. And then it just becomes your normal.
There are two things you said that I'm very, I guess, in my line of work, especially working with golfers, the first thing I heard you said was you do feel it. It's not that you're not afraid. And you've learned to have this relationship with fear and you welcomed it like a blanket covering. So all the feelings you feel, you just let it soak in and you don't necessarily react to it initially. It's almost like you have this inner protection, but the outer blanket of whatever stuff is coming your way is not penetrating inside. It's just staying and it's covering you. But
That's
your
exactly it.
response to that is just shifting your focus, being aware of what you're focusing on. Instead of letting that consume you and go inside, you're keeping it on the outside, on your outer layer, by controlling the internal compass of focus, focusing on your next stroke, focusing on this moment, focusing on the present.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm aware of it. It's there. It's like having somebody in the room with you, but not giving them attention. And they're always there. They're there all the way through. And eventually they're a little less there and a little less there and a little less present. And you don't even know when it's gone. It's just gone.
How did you practice that in terms of, was it always just throwing yourself into these situations and you deliberately had to make a choice? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I coach swimming as well. And I try to teach these kids mental toughness and all of these things, and being flexible and being able to switch their mindset and stuff. But really, unless you expose yourself to those situations, you're not going to be able to practice it. You can't practice mental toughness without being mentally tough in situations and putting yourself in situations where you have to make decisions on the fly that are stressful and going to be hard. And I think it's super, super important you can control your access. Start a night swim that is not so far offshore, and just a little bit over time, get yourself used to some exposures that aren't so extreme that you can back out of, but you're still safe enough to go into it. That's super, super important.
And I'm curious, Grace, something Dr. Matt and I always talk about on the podcast is like getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it sounds like exactly what you're saying right now, throwing yourself in those situations, even if you're afraid,
Oh, yeah.
even if you're uncomfortable, throw yourself in. I'm wondering, how long was that journey for you to sit here with us now? And you sound really confident on putting yourself in those situations, swimming 120 miles, being in the dark, open water, swimming with things around you. When did that all start for you and when did that click for you?
I think I've always just been somebody who likes a challenge. I think going into it knowing that I don't always like to take the road everybody's traveled. I want to take one that's different and harder. And that's always just been kind of my MO. But yeah, it's you get to the point where you keep doing it. And I'm always looking for where's that line? I haven't found it yet. Where's the line where I jump in the water and I'm so paralyzed with this blanket on top of me that I can't go? I haven't found that yet, but I am sort of um, driven to find it, if that makes sense. And I love that time with myself. When you're in those situations, you are absolutely 100% your authentic self. Like I am, when you see me in that situation where I'm swimming in that, I am my most raw mentally, emotionally, physically. That is me with everything torn away. That's who I am right there. And for me, that's my chance to get into that person. Like, who is that person and what can she do? What can we do together? What is that? I love that. And then I find when I'm away from that, when I'm away from pushing that envelope and having that space, then I miss it. I miss that part of myself and I yearn to go back.
It sounds like almost what motivates you is finding your authentic true self and seeing what you are capable of as a human being.
Oh, for sure. That's it exactly. I had a friend of mine tell me one time that he always felt like athletes are on the edge of human evolution, that he felt like that athletes in every sport that are looking for that next level, pushing themselves to that next bar, are setting that next stage for what people are capable of. And so it's funny, but it's a thing that I sit back there and I think about. I haven't yet found what I'm capable of because I've failed plenty, but I've been able to revisit it and get past it. So I'm capable of more. We all are.
Where does that drive come from for you? You said you've always had it and you've always kind of pushed to the limit of just exploring where that limit is. You haven't found it yet. But this curiosity or this drive, where do you think, what's pushing you? Like, why is that so important for you?
I think it's important to me because I want to be the absolute best I possibly can be. And it sounds so cheesy and silly, but I feel like for me to be the best person I can be, I need to do these things to be the best mother, to be the best wife, to be the best coach, to be the best these things. I need to know more, be more, see more, do more. I want more. I dare like to use the word addiction, but maybe it is. Maybe it's a little masochistic. I don't know, but it's definitely, I know that every time I walk out of that experience, I'm changed and I'm changed for the better. And even when the experience doesn't play out how it should have been, maybe I got pulled because of hypothermia, maybe the boat broke, whatever. I still come out of it better. I still come out of it with a deeper understanding of myself, needs that need to change, like every single time.
I'm curious, Grace, in those moments when you either get pulled for hypothermia or something happens where technically it's a setback or some people might look at it as a failure, what are those first couple steps that you do as a high performer right after those setbacks hit? Because it sounds like you adapt and adjust very quickly and turn it into a positive. And I'm curious, what are those first couple steps after a situation like that?
I think it's super, super important to allow yourself to mourn the moment. Like,
Mm.
it's okay to be upset about it and to just mourn it because when you've been preparing some of these golfers that prepare for these tournaments and they're preparing for months or years. And even for me, swims that are months or years of preparation for, and they don't go as planned and you get pulled for something that's out of your control or whatever. It's hard. It's a really hard thing. And I allow myself to feel it, like all the feels, mourning the time, mourning all the things that I was hoping would happen, and even the physical pain, allowing myself to feel it. Like, my shoulders are hurting, or I didn't do the nutrition right, and all of these things. You feel it for a minute. You don't try to push it back. Allow yourself to feel it, because then I can't make changes to go again. If I've disallowed all that feedback that I got from that, then I cannot make changes. So I feel it, evaluate it, own it, and then make changes, and then do better next time.
And it's
I
like,
just focus on the future. Okay, this happened. Next time, I'm going to do this and this and this. So when I get better, this is how I'm doing it different this time. And then it's amazing when you do that, when you allow yourself to feel all the feels that happen with those things. But you don't dwell on it. You're going to feel it, and you've already decided, I'm going to give myself this moment, and then I'm going to turn this into a cerebral act, right? I've had an emotional moment. Now I'm going to have a cerebral moment. What did I get from that? What was my takeaway? My takeaway was that I didn't do enough cold water work, that my nutrition was off and I wasn't taking enough calories. Easy to fix. These things are lessons. These are easy. And then you just get in and do it again. Then it's no longer something I've let go of it. 100% let go. Because the worst thing you can do is, now you've decided you're going to do it again and you're going to jump back in. If my mind and my emotions are stuck on how I failed in the last one or whatever it was, I cannot be present for what I'm doing. It's impossible. You have to let that go. And then you 100% own that you've taken the lessons and you're confident, and you just lay yourself at the floor of it, that I've done what I have to do to be successful as I can be in this moment. And I'm just going to do what I do.
there's a quote that I saw, and Dr. Matt, I don't even think I've mentioned this to you yet since the last time we saw each other and spoke. There's a quote that I saw that said, the answers you are looking for are within the silence that you're neglecting. And I feel
That's
as
a
though
great one.
it's almost what you're describing, Grace, in a sense of letting yourself sit in that silence, mourn in it, but don't identify it, don't attach your value or your self-worth to it. Like, mourn, but then once you're done mourning, get right back out there, let go of it, and see what you can do with the new information you've learned about yourself.
Yeah, you got to take the lessons, right? It was funny. I heard an interview with Snoop Dogg the other day. And his daughter is like a big time professional soccer player. And he was kind of talking about his daughter, and they were asking him, what do you say to her? And I loved what he said. I thought, oh, what a good dad. He was like, she's had a lot of losses, a lot of L's, but that L doesn't have to stand for loss. It can stand for lesson. And I love that. I was like, that's such a simple, yes, that's exactly what it is. That fail was a loss, but it's a lesson. There was a lesson in that. And you don't have to hang on to that loss is in the past. It can't help you in the present, but those lessons can, right?
Grace, I'm hearing a theme in your high performance mindset, if I may say. This theme that I'm connecting to, whether it's diving into the deep water, whether it is dealing with a setback in life or in sport. And I love how you framed it. There is an emotional moment and a cerebral moment. And the emotional moment is the acceptance. I just kept hearing this word acceptance was screaming out. Like, you accept the fact that these feels or whatever's in the deep water is coming your way, a blanket. You're accepting that it's happening, or the lesson, the loss, the failure, the setbacks, mourning the moment. You're accepting that this is reality, and you're not trying to fight it. You're not trying to stuff it away, push it forward, or try to fix it right then and there. Right. You're letting it happen. And that's the emotional moment. You're allowing yourself to experience the emotional moment. But there's a switch that happens where once you accept, once you allow, the cerebral moment kicks in. So you now refocus and respond and say, okay, what were my lessons? What could I do differently? How can I get better? And this constant pursuit of wanting to get better, push yourself to the limit. It sounds like that it kicks in where it allows you to get into that cerebral moment. A lot of athletes and people that we work with get stuck in the emotional moment. They try to accept, maybe they aren't fully accepting, but they think they're in the cerebral moment, but that emotional moment is dragging along and carrying with that experience.
Yeah.
But there's a switch for you, and you literally let it go. You allowed yourself to experience it, and when that switches, you let it go. And that experience is, I think that piece is the high performance in you.
Thank you. I like it's so important. I used to, when I was younger, I wouldn't. I would get up for a race and I would swim. And if I didn't do well, I was like, oh, it's the end of my career. It's over. I did everything I could do, blah, 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 blah. And then I would start to train again. And that performance was stuck there. That last performance where I didn't do well, it was always there. And I was never getting to where I could be. It took failing hard, like really falling, like really coming close to, for me, it was like a near death experience, but I mean, it really genuinely failing. And then really genuinely allowing myself to mourn that failure, not just say, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Stop being upset. It'll be okay. No, it's okay for it not to be okay for a hot minute.
Mm.
It's okay. It doesn't make me weaker if I allow myself to feel this genuinely for a minute. But it does make me weaker if I hold on to it. That's where the weakness is. And then when I was holding on to that, I was taking that weakness into my next performances. And that was another failure I had to learn from. That, no, okay, I need to let go 100% that happened. And really not just say it's okay, but allow myself to actually feel it's okay. And then really focus on what were the takeaways? What did I do? What can I do different? How was this exposure? How can I manage this exposure next time? What kind of calories I can take next time? What, maybe I use a different boat. Maybe my kayak needs to, like, whatever. It's 100% off you. It's out of your heart and it's in your head.
And I think you bring up a great point, Grace, with that of reframing what is weakness and what is not weakness. Because I know a lot of the athletes I work with, a lot of the ones I'm friends with, the ones that I talk to on a regular day basis, we're always having conversations of, if you're not okay, it does not mean you're weak, right? And it's really
Right.
hard to change that reframe. And it sounds like, was it one big scenario or quote unquote failure for you that helped you flip that script? Or was it your journey all along that helped you get to this point now where you're able to reframe actually what weakness is?
I had a bunch of misses and near misses, but I think I was lucky, right? I was still holding on to those little weaknesses and going into the next performance and making it through, right? So I wasn't performing at the level that I'm capable of, but I was still performing enough. So I swam from Catalina to San Pedro, broke the record. It was really exciting. While I was there, when I climbed out of the water, I stepped on a sea urchin. And I was in hypothermia at that point and I couldn't feel my feet. So I had no idea that I had gotten a sea urchin spine like into the muscle part of my foot. Days went on. It was super bad. I was thinking, like, am I just being a wuss about this? And I took a picture and sent it to my friend and she goes, I've showed the surgeon you need to get to the hospital immediately. I got to the hospital, immediately went to the emergency room. They were like, you have MRSA. We might have to take your foot. I was like, wait, what? Like a week ago, I was swimming 21 miles in the dark and breaking a world record. And now you're talking to me about I've got like, what? So anyway, yeah, I spent some time in the hospital and came home and got over the MRSA, kept my foot, luckily. And then I started training almost immediately again because I had these other swims on the docket. I had registered for this 40-mile swim in Arizona. And then I registered for the race around Manhattan, which at that time was pretty much the pinnacle of marathon swimming racing in North America at the time. So I was doing this stuff and I wasn't well. I had lost probably 15 pounds. I had been on heavy duty antibiotics like vancomycin, which is no joke, for 2 weeks. Like I just wasn't, I was holding on. And instead of just saying, okay, you know what? I did great in that swim and this happened and I need to feel, I can't do these races ahead of me. I just need to let myself recover from this, really get better, get back to homeostasis and then move forward. But I was so stuck in this headspace of I got to get to that next thing. I can't allow this to take away from this. I have to do this. So then I went and did the 40-mile swim. And then on the third leg of that swim, it's Apache Lake, which is considered in swimming one of the hardest swims that you can do. It's in swimming, it has one of the highest fail rates of any marathon swim around. And I completely hallucinated the last 2+ miles of that swim. Completely hallucinated. I was so deep in hypothermia because my body had no reserve from the Catalina swim. And I'm pushing it to this point and I had no reserve. Like I was swimming between these canyon walls in Apache Lake in Arizona. And I 100% thought the walls were coming in on me. So I was trying to hide from rocks that were mysterious. Like it was not happening. And my poor husband was kayaking for me and he kept trying to get me out and I refused to get out. I kept swimming away from him. I mean, it was crazy. I limped my way to the finish because I wanted to win and I had to, and got there. And I was not okay. That wasn't a success. That was a fail. But it didn't stop me. I kept that on. I'm like, well, I know I almost lost it there, but I have to do the next, it's okay. I made it enough. Then I got to Manhattan the race around Manhattan. And this race was a who's who in swimming from all over the world. And right as it happened, this tropical storm hit New York. So it was raining. The water temperature had dropped to the low 50s. I mean, it was a cluster. The boats didn't show up because the Coast Guard was not allowing them into the harbor. I mean, it was insane. Meanwhile, all the athletes were waiting on the dock and in the rain, in bathing suits for like hours before we jumped. So I was in hypothermia before the swim even started. So they get us on the boat eventually and they start. And I barely remember the swim. I remember getting in and thinking I'm doing really well. And I remember people asking me some questions and I was thinking to myself, listen, I'm in a race. Why are you asking me how many fingers you have? I don't freaking know. Like you have fingers on your hand. Like what? And then I stopped for a feed and one of my closest friends, Toby Ann Saraceno, who's also a marathon swimmer, she jumped in the water and I remember her face and I was like, oh, it's so nice to see you. And then a minute after that, I had completely grand mal seizures. My heart was trying to stop. They had me on a backboard, fell into the government. Like it was so dramatic. Had to get me out to the hospital immediately on Governor's Island. And then I woke up in the ambulance on the way to the hospital with my husband in the ambulance sobbing because the ambulance and driver was saying 2 more minutes and she's dead. 2 minutes and I could not bring her back. She's dead. And that changes a person. So I was upset. I was supposed to win that race. There was a ton of press on it. There was a ton of hype on it and everything. And I was slated to win. And there was all this. And I didn't not only lose, but I got pulled and almost died. Like I was 2 minutes from not being able to be resuscitated. And that was crazy. So I spent like weeks, like 2 months, really doing some internal navigation checks. Like, what was I doing? I can actually move this moment back to when I was going down the wrong path and I allowed what I saw was a failure and I just let it seep its way through on all these events. And I hit critical mass and almost lost my life for it. So, yeah, no, I think a lot of athletes are lucky like I was, and I was able just to do enough, do enough, do enough, do enough. But I hadn't mourned what happened. I hadn't become cerebral about it. I hadn't made changes because had I done that, I would not have done those events. I would have taken that and said, you know what? The lesson here is I need to get healthy before I get up and train for this event again so that I can put myself in a, like, I need to get to the point I was when I swam to Catalina from Catalina to I need to get to that point. But athletes, like, and I think businessmen and everybody, you're so used to performing at such a high level all the time that you cannot allow yourself away from that. Like you set up these mystical, like, I have to be here and this is who I am. And if I'm not doing this, it's not enough. When reality, you just barely getting by and just making it on talent or by luck or whatever, that's what's not enough. You are not performing at your best and you need to own it. Like you need to just own that and accept that and make changes. And I had to literally watch my husband almost mourn me for me to learn that I had to make changes. So that's when I think, if I look back on it, really, really, where it hit the fan and I had to become a different swimmer. So I did. I allowed myself weeks to mourn that and to get better and to get back into it. I went really hard on what's my takeaway from this. And the next year I entered it again. And again, there's tons of hype and all this stuff, but I went back and I won it. And I won it not sick, super healthy, and could jump in and do another one. That's exactly where you want to be.
That just gave me chills. I don't know about you, Dr. Matt.
Man, I'm stuck. I'm just thinking after a near death experience, and when you mourned that loss, you learned a lesson. And I can assume that the lesson changes a person. Like you said, it changes you. And I was trying to tease out, okay, what was that lesson for Grace? What was that big takeaway? And it sounded like one of the main themes was get healthy first before putting yourself out there and performing. And sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. Sometimes it feels like it's a setback when you're taking care of your health, whether it's your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your relational health, whatever it might be, get healthy. And I'm wondering, was that the main lesson? Were there other lessons from this near-death experience after this experience? How did it change you as a person?
I tell you for sure, it knocked my confidence. I had moments where I thought, when I was mourning this piece, you're feeling everything. I was feeling like I'm a failure, like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. This just shows I shouldn't be doing this. All those negative, sort of, confidence, like maybe I wasn't ready for this. And maybe I really am not capable as I think I am. And all of these things get in there. And it's one thing saying to yourself, oh, that's not true. Yeah, it's not true. But if I didn't own what happened, if I didn't own what really happened, that I pushed myself when I wasn't ready. I did this to myself. I chose this path, and me choosing this path caused this to happen. I needed to own that. I needed to 100% own where it started. Not necessarily own my performance, but I needed to own what led up to that performance. Right? And yeah, once I owned what led up to that performance, I could let go of the things that were like, no, that wasn't me. I wasn't myself. From the minute I made the choice to push through these things, I was never the same athlete I was when I did the other swim. I was not the same version of myself. So how can I expect this weaker version to perform at the level that the other version of me can perform at. It's completely, it's impossible. It's not fair. I'm setting myself up for an expectation that's 100% not correct. I don't have all the tools.
Right.
And I did that. And once I felt bad about it and then just sort of owned that I chose the wrong path, and then decided, okay, that's good. I get that. Now I'm going to take these things and make changes. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot to become not just the athlete I was when I jumped off the boat for Catalina, but an even stronger, better athlete, because now I've had this experience. And not only was I the athlete that did that, I'm going to be the athlete that survived this and could do better.
Nice. You know, the making healthy choices, right, for your body, and kind of switching gears. We connected because of this guy. I'm showing a box of caddy snacks right now, and Vito, another high performer who introduced us in this conversation, and to be able to meet you, Vito was just showering praises of, you got to meet this high performer, Grace. You have to meet her. The life experiences you've had, the mindset that you had, and Vito and Caddy Snacks being our official sponsor of this podcast, like, we were so excited to get inside your brain. Have you tried these bars, Grace? And what were your thoughts on them?
I love them. It's so funny. Vito's, I got this snack, caddy snack. You got to try it. And I'll try anything. I'll be your Huckleberry. Bring it on. So he just told me they're just really good. You got to try it. But he didn't tell me what's in them. Like, that was what blew me away. I'm eating these things, and the Arcola cherries and the L-theanine, all these things. I'm like, this is a perfect nutrition. This is a perfect athlete food right here. I'm so impressed and so proud, and I love it. It digests super easily. It's got stuff to help you focus that immediately is a peptide that gets your brain right in action, and without having to take caffeine to do it. Although I like eating mine with some coffee, so I have a little extra boost, but that's just me. I don't have to have still hands on a golf course. I just got to swim. So yeah, no, I love them. They're amazing.
That's great.
They're definitely in my bag now before I swim.
Yeah. And how did you two meet? If you don't mind sharing that story with us.
Vito and I.
Yeah.
Vito was head of this swim group called Night Train. And Night Train is a group that does big swims to raise money for causes that are near and dear to everyone's hearts. They'll pick a cause, and then we'll pick an event, and then we will just go to extremes to make sure we do it and to raise enough money for this cause. If you've ever met Vito or you've read his book, you know that this man, he's a genius. And he goes about picking his teams in a very specific way. Everybody has a skill. It's like a surgical strike team. You know, he will pick this group of people to accomplish this challenge, and everybody has a part to play, right? And they had this challenge that they wanted to raise money for the Navy SEAL Foundation. And they also wanted to set a speed record. And my name got thrown to Vito through the course of the coconut wireless, as I like to call it, of swimmers. And he flew me up to San Francisco. And the minute we met, we knew we just knew each other. You know how when you meet somebody, it's not like that you're meeting for the first time. It's like we met, but we've always known each other. Like, some part of us and a deep part in our psyche is the same. We recognize something in each other that's the exact same. And without tons of words or having to get into deep conversations, we absolutely knew each other. And yeah, we just bonded in that moment after some fun and some hijinks in San Francisco. And then we did our big swim. And my job was to be tough and cover distance. And that's we did. We covered over 300 miles. We broke the speed record for that swim. And we also raised tons of money for the Navy SEAL Foundation. And that was the beginning of this close relationship that we have up to today. He's my ride or die. I can call Vito anytime, anywhere, and say, hey, I'm doing this thing. And I don't even have to explain it. That's what's great. And he's, yeah, okay, I'll be there. And he knows instinctively who I am, what I need, what I'm doing. And I know the same for him as well. So yeah, it's just that immediate recognition of a part of yourself in someone else.
This episode of the Mind Your Game podcast is brought to you by Caddy Snacks, the perfect fuel for golfers who want to perform at their best on and off the course. Made with clean ingredients and designed for long-lasting energy, Caddy Snacks keeps you focused from the first tee to the final putt. And with our code MIND20, you can get 20% off your first order. Grab your next round of Caddy Snacks at www.eatcaddysnacks.com. Now back to the podcast. So something that you mentioned earlier, Grace, that I wanted to ask you was the theme that I was seeing was the word accountability. And I feel as though as someone matures and gets older, accountability grows. But within youth athletes nowadays, you're seeing a lot of youth athletes put it onto the coach or put it onto a parent.
Yeah.
And they necessarily don't take accountability even when it is in their control and in their actions. Like, what kind of advice do you have for those youth athletes to grow the accountability that you have grown over your years?
I can tell you what I tell my athletes all the time. That is to own their path. You have to own what you're doing to get to whatever goal that you're doing it at. Your mom and dad are just responsible for dropping you off at the pool or dropping you off at the golf course. Like, they put a roof over your head and give you some Cheerios. And then what happens after that is 100% in your power. 100% in your power. I can give you the sets. I can give you all the things. You can decide whether or not to do it. This is free will. 100% of what you're doing is free will. And if you don't own some responsibility of, are you training at your actual 100%? Are you doing the recovery like you should be doing it? Are you doing it? Then if you're not owning that, you're not going to improve. You're not allowing yourself to get uncomfortable, to make changes, to grow, because you're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to grow in that comfort zone. You're not going to grow by always putting blame on, well, my coach didn't give me enough sprint sets or didn't do enough distance sets, or my mom didn't pack my best towel, or I didn't have the right shoes I wanted, and I couldn't do dry lands like I was supposed to do dry lands, because, like, no, then you have not owned your performance and your path. 0%. You were not uncomfortable. You didn't ask the hard questions. You didn't really go there. And that's the thing about really great athletes. Not good athletes will keep showing up. They'll work hard. They'll have ups and downs. They'll just be good. And being good is amazing. What good athletes makes for only 1 or 2% of the population of athletes. So you have the 99% that aren't really good. They're just people trying to work out or do sports. But that 1% that's good, 2% that's good, they're just getting by, not 100% owning, but in there. But the athletes that are great, not good, but great, own their path. They own what they have in front of them. They own what it takes to do what it takes to be the best. They own their failures and they grow from them. And they also lean into the hard stuff. They lean in to where they have to make changes to be better. People who are just good don't lean into it. They don't look for what's hard. They don't say, I want that, because I know that's going to make me uncomfortable, and that getting through that and learning from that's going to make me better. No, they'll just kind of put a toe in it and go good enough.
Yeah.
Which is fine for some. If you don't want to be If you don't want to be great, then keep doing that. That's 100% fine. But if you want to be great, if you want to perform at the highest level, then you have to make different choices and you have to live differently.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not a sacrifice for you. Maybe it's you love that process so much that giving those things up, you're not seeing like you're giving up this. You see, is it a gain? 100%, addition by subtraction, right?
Yeah. And I love how you said create your own path, because I feel as though nowadays all of these youth athletes see maybe someone like yourself or another high performing, high achieving athlete on social media, and they just see the victory, but they don't see the
Right.
behind the scenes stuff like you're sharing with us today. And I think that's why it's extremely important to have people on like yourself to share the other side of the story of creating your own path, right? Because it is the uncomfortable creating your own path, the accountability, everything that you've shared with us today that has gotten you to this place. These wins just didn't
Yeah.
come about. You woke up one morning and then you were just like, hey, here we go, world record. Here you go, Grace. This is yours. We're just going to give it to you today. Or, hey, here's this
Yeah.
win. We're going to just hand it to you. It took the hard stuff to get to the place that you're at now.
Yeah, it did. And it took a ton of support. It took my husband being willing to get out on a kayak with me, my friends answering the bat signal when I would say, hey, I'm going to be on the ocean. I'm doing this many miles. You want to meet? Like, it's all of that, but knowing where that stops and my responsibility starts,
Mm,
right? Like, I still have to do it. I still have to do, no matter how many of these people are here to be in the process with me, I still actually have to do it.
yeah.
So yeah, I think sometimes youth athletes get confused with where that is. They take the support and that support takes away their responsibility in it. And the support is just support. You have 100% accountability.
Mm.
You still have to do it.
And that accountability and responsibility falls into what we talk about a lot on the podcast is focus on what you can control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you can only control your reaction to things and only control how you do stuff. Like that's every time I'm in the water, I can't control the water temperature and I can't control what the tide is doing or none of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And you just accept it. 100% just accept it. You don't give it mental energy. You don't give it emotional energy. 0%. You just own that next step. I've got to take a stroke. Doesn't matter if it's cold. I mean, it's cold. I can't do anything about it, but I can keep taking strokes and I can use my legs and I can do those things. That's what's important.
And as we're wrapping up today, Grace, I always like to end on kind of one topic that almost hits home for you, but also for our viewers and our listeners. And a lot of them are athletes and high performers or want to become higher performers in a sense. And I'm wondering, for any youth athlete that's listening to us right now, what would be your biggest piece of advice for them to be a high performer like yourself in the future?
Oh, man, that's a hard one. I would say get a mentor, get an advisor, get somebody that you can really trust that can help guide you to the right path. And when you're on that path, do all the things. Allow yourself to feel failures. Allow yourself to own it. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel all those things. But that pain needs to not be the most important person in the room. That failure, that fear, that whatever it is, never needs to be the most important in the room. You need to be the most important person in the room. How you react to it needs to be what's important. And having that presence of mind to be able to do that, I think it cannot be underestimated and not said enough.
Mm. So finding a mentor that you can believe in, trust in, and be vulnerable with, and remaining present.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And as we're wrapping up, Grace, I really appreciate you joining Dr. Matt and I for the Mind Your Game podcast. And for all the viewers and the listeners out there, thank you for all tuning in. I know you all are going to get a lot out of this conversation that we have with Grace today. And we will see you all soon.
Thanks so much.